Welcome, everyone, to Coffee and an Interview. I'm Jacqueline Pena, and I'm really excited to have Sue Sarvis here with us today. We're going to talk about women in real estate, but we're also going to talk about coaching and leaders and working with teams. It's going to be a really fun discussion. So, Sue, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. Me too. So, my first question is, who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do to kind of frame the conversation we're about to get into.
Sure. So I have been in real estate. I've been a licensed real estate professional for over 15 years. But I didn't really start my journey all the way. Like a lot of people in real estate is like a second love. You have another career first before you get into it, or maybe you retire into it. For me, I used to be an educator. I used to be a fourth and fifth grade teacher, and I thought I was going to be a principal. So I have my master's in educational leadership. And then I had kiddos of my own, and then I got divorced and decided to do something different. So I stopped teaching on a Friday when the semester let out for summer break, and I started working at a boutique brokerage in an agent training capacity on Monday. And by the end of that summer, that was a 30-hour-a-week role. By the end of the summer, I was there full time. I was wearing all the hats. It was a great experience. And now 8 years later, I am the president of Realty Associates in Texas. We have 6 offices across Texas, most of which are in the Houston area, and we have 1,200 agents. And so, it's a pivot, but I just kind of joke, it's like going from being the principal of some unruly kiddos to some unruly fun adults. So same thing, different place.
Very exciting, though. You get to work with these really unique teams in
Yes.
the real estate business. For those of us listening, when you say brokerage, what do you mean by brokerage?
Sure. So real estate professionals are either sales agents, or they're, depending on their state. In Texas, it's 4 years, an application, so many transactions, and you have to take a test. You're either a sales agent, or in different states, you meet the minimum requirements to be a broker. When you're a broker, you have the decision. Do you open your own brokerage? You pay all your own overhead, all your own errors and omissions insurance, or do you join a brokerage and put your license under that and you're a broker associate? So when you're a sales agent, you must have a brokerage to work under. When you're a broker associate, you have the choice and you can choose to work under a brokerage. So for me, I have, we have 1,200, like I mentioned, sales agents and broker associates with us.
That's
So your large brokerages are, your Coldwell Banker, your Compass, your Remax, Realty Associates is a brokerage.
and I think a lot of us have seen some of these in the commercials, or if any of our listeners, if you've purchased a home or a condo, you might have worked with a company or just a person
Yes.
who works solo. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And you work with a very large team. I was impressed with the size of the sites and the size of the team. And you've been in the real estate business for a while. And we were chatting before this podcast recording about
Yeah.
women in this industry. What are some trends you've been seeing in terms of women in real estate?
So, women, amazingly, real estate is one of the first professions that women could earn as much or more than men, starting in the 70s, 80s, et cetera, that women could earn 6 figures doing real estate, and not have to have a higher ed degree, et cetera. So it's really been for a long time now a women dominated industry. And it's somewhat flexible. You can take on a lot of clients. You can choose to work one client at a time. You can work solo, or you can start a team if you wanted to. You can open your own brokerage if you would like to. And, there's not, every state is different, has different requirements, but it's considered a low bar of entry. You in Texas have to be 18, pass a background check, and have so many hours of CE, which a college degree does count towards some of those hours, but it's not a necessity. So in this day and age for women and anyone looking to get into a profitable industry and career, it's a great choice. It's a great choice.
Interesting. It's a wonderful place to get started if you're trying to break into a new career, if you need flexibility, if I because I heard that a little bit in your story, but I'm thinking of a lot of us who need flexibility at different times of our lives. This can be a very good career. And then you're seeing a lot, it's a women dominated industry, you were saying.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit about women leaders and leadership. What are some trends you're seeing in the industry when it comes to women leaders?
Sure. So I feel like, it depends. I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer that question
No,
well.
don't worry.
We can edit that,
We'll go in
right?
any
Okay.
direction. Don't worry. That one was a tough one.
It
It's like a
is
pop
because I
quiz.
don't have any good stats. I apologize. I
Yeah.
should. I
But you've
don't.
been in the field for a while. You are a woman, you're a leader, you have your 6 sites, you have a huge team, 1,200 sales agents and brokers. Talk to me a little bit about in terms of that field and some of the needs. We were talking a little bit earlier before our interview about coaching and leadership and teams and some of the needs that we're seeing in the industry. What are some things you're seeing there as a career choice? I know a lot of our listeners are in education or mentor others or are making some career shifts in their own lives. And this might be very interesting to hear some of the things that go on behind the scenes and some of the
Sure.
opportunities.
Sure. It's a great industry for women in leadership as far as brokerage management leadership. I will say this, though, when I think about real estate coaches, the big ones I think of are all men, in a women dominated industry. And from chatting with, women that have started teams or have had a brokerage and looking to retire, et cetera, when thinking about maybe becoming a full-time coach and making that a secondary profitable business model, it's more of, oh, well, I would like to mentor, I would like to give back, I would like to share my knowledge, which is great and admirable. And yet I feel like we need their knowledge. We would pay for their knowledge. It doesn't have to be given away for free. And I think sometimes women can um, get into this cycle of thinking, maybe that their knowledge is not something that people would pay for or pay high ticket for, et cetera. And clearly they will if there are real estate men out there doing it.
Very interesting. And I know you found this niche in your area as well, in your field, and you
Mhm.
are looking now into a career or a spin-off of your career in addition to your career in coaching. Tell us a little bit more about that. What are you looking to do more coaching in that you're building a business around?
Sure. So, in real estate, once you have success, maybe you start a team. Maybe it's on purpose. You want to have a team and want to mentor agents that work with you, work underneath you, et cetera. Um, but a lot of times people start to build real estate teams by accident. And what do I mean by that? They are getting too busy. Once they hit a certain sales volume or income level, they're too busy. You can't be in 5 places at once on a Saturday to show 5 different prospective buyers potentially, or more than that, right? If your plate is too full, the first thing they'll tell you to do is hire a buyer's agent to work with you, under you, on your team. Okay. Or, you have a great team office, a great office, the culture is great. People have met you, think that you're rocking it, doing great. And they ask, oh, can I join you? Can I work with you? Can I learn from you? And you're like, sure. And then next thing you know, a few months, 6 months later, you have a team of 6 and you didn't even start out to have a team. Right.
Hmm.
And that happens pretty frequently. So when I've met with people, met with the women that have teams, sometimes they have a skeletal team agreement. They have some kind of business plan that maybe involves them and their production, but not their team. They're set up, but they're not set up to be like a team business, and really thinking about it from the business perspective. Um, How is their team performing? What does the team need? What does the team staff look like? And making sure everyone's on the right seat on the bus is super, super important. And really drilling down and looking at their finances as well. How many transactions does each team member do? How much have they brought into the team that year? Which can sound harsh, but in reality, if you were running a business and had salespeople making sales calls, you would judge their performance the exact same way, and you would know exactly how many clients they brought in to the business. And so I try to encourage them to look at that, beef up their team agreements for a myriad of scenarios that can occur, especially with a team agent that may leave the team, and really, really think through that. Think through that from with the business lens.
Yeah, this is such a critical piece. I know we're talking about real estate, but what you share is so critical across so many industries. And I'm going to tie it and come back to real estate, tie it all
Okay.
together. But a lot of us start off as solopreneurs and
Yes.
solopreneurships. A lot
Yes.
of us are party of one. I'm going to do consulting, I'm going to do some real estate, or I'm going to do this or that
Yes.
or finance. And then we see, okay, we have some good opportunities. Let's bring on someone to help. And then it's bring someone else. And as we're doing this and we're growing the business in terms of people, we might not have all the systems in place to work with a team, but we might not also have all the know-hows, all the knowledge, the strategies and the techniques for working with a team. You talked about, are people on the right seat on the bus? And I know of what that is. Should they even be on this bus? Is this the right
Yes.
place for my
Yes.
team member?
Yes.
Or should my team member be working somewhere else? And those are difficult conversations. How do I measure success? How do I measure success for myself, for the business, but for each team member? And when you're a solopreneur, you're not thinking about those things. You're thinking about a smaller scale instead, in terms of, am I bringing enough revenue? Am I
Yes.
pricing things correctly? Am I on top of things? Am I am I just going way beyond my time limits and constraints here? And now with a team, it's different. And that's where you come in this niche, bringing it back to real estate. You're looking at this from the real estate side of things
Mm-hmm. That's
in
right.
field.
That's right. And I think that, um, like I mentioned, a lot of agents, men and women, get into a team leader situation that they didn't maybe intend to start or didn't intend for it to grow this big or that big. And, there gets to be a point where you hit a plateau and you need help to get over that hump and to the next level of business. And I can tell you it's not going to be with the same systems. It's not going to possibly be with some of the same people. That just happens when there's a push that growth is needed. And sometimes that's when you hear agents say, I've been at this sales volume for 3 years and I can't push past X level that they think they should be at. And so
Mhm.
we really dive into the numbers. How is your team set up? Let's look at what your team agent splits are. Does that make sense for you? You know, um, does that need to be adjusted in some way? Because at the end of the day, you as a team leader, you're making, a lot of agents, you're making what you make from your own production because you're still selling. Okay, if you take that away, what are you earning from the team for being the team leader, for that work that you're doing and the hours that you're putting in of being the team leader? Taking out your production, take that out of it. What's left should be something that feels good. And what I mean by feels good is, oh, I have made X for leading this team, and next year I want to add 10% to it or 15% to it. Well, either you need to help your team agents grow in their business or you need to add more team agents. One of those two things or both need to occur. And if your current team agents aren't bringing in the sales, We need to either upskill them, help them up level, etc., help them, teach them how to fish more so they can go out and get more business. Maybe they're not converting, you're giving them leads and they're not converting them. So we need to really do a deep dive with that and make sure that everyone on our bus is productive. Because, you know, time is money in a sense, that you want to make sure that where you're spending your time as the team leader, you know, makes sense. I call it IPAs, income producing activities. As an agent, you should be doing X number of income producing activities a week, calling your sphere, checking on referrals, nurturing those leads, going through your list of past clients and touching base with them, etc. It's the same thing as a team leader. You have to make sure that you're checking in with your team agents, you're business planning with them, you're meeting one-on-one with them, you're having team meetings, not for just the sake of having team meetings, but actually bringing them actionable items and content that they need to be successful and grow.
Some great tips. I mean, I never heard of IPA before, income producing activities. I think it's a great acronym to bring in. I heard a lot about effective team meetings at the end and thinking
Mhm.
about how to have those team meetings and the effectiveness. But one of the big things I heard in this last part of the conversation is, as a leader, right? We're not solopreneurs anymore. We have
Right.
teams. That's my case as well. And so, how do we nurture talent within our team? How do we help people grow? How do we ensure that they're using their ability and their time as best as possible? And as a leader, being able to have that skill set to see that and help that. And I know you do a lot of that in your
Mhm.
coaching business and with your own team. Do you want to share some examples of ways in which leaders can help their team members be more successful? Some things without giving away too much about clients or your own team members.
Sure.
But
Sure. So,
some
yeah, so the way
done.
I like to structure things, for me, that I have found work best,
Mhm.
and it might not be the same quantity for everyone, but for myself, I like to have 2 events a month. One is a knowledge-based event to help agents grow, whether it is considered an hour of CE, continuing education, or not. It might be a how to set up Canva, how to use Canva, how to set up Google My Business page, whatever it is. It's a knowledge-based activity. And then a second one that is purely social in nature. So it might be, hey, come, let's have coffee and chat about the market. What are you seeing in the market? I'm going to share some trends I saw, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's a mastermind. Maybe it's just a happy hour. And when I say happy hour, I am really big on not every single social event being a happy hour, being about drinking. It needs to be a coffee in the morning, breakfast out, tacos on Tuesday. I personally, as a leader, never want all of my socials to be around drinking because not everyone drinks, you know? I used to have a social every single month in my office that was well attended. Uh, and the way it came to be is I thought, what is something that everyone has in the office, no matter who you are? Every single person has a birthday. And so we
Oh,
started a monthly birthday event. And it was, if your birthday's in, they got a personal invite. If it's your birthday, come on, everybody come on. We're going to celebrate birthdays. And and it really took off. Like that was like our thing. Like our office was the only one that did that for a while. And then other people started doing it too. And when there were budget cuts, we were told that we need to start having all events, no matter what they were, like sponsored. And I thought, I don't want to bring a sponsor into our birthday celebration. It's special. And so I got up in the morning before work and made 2 pans of cake and brought them in. And at the end, someone said, "Oh, can I do next month? Can I make the dessert next month?" So it became like a sign up genius. And I was fully prepared to do all 12 months and just make them myself. But it ended up, both the staff and contractors, agents, took turns making the dessert. And so, you need to either find something that connects everyone or try, hey, there's a free one, birthdays is it. coffee, get together in the morning and have coffee every Monday. We do it at my current brokerage. We do it as a staff every other Monday. I want to hear about their weekend. We want to talk, catch up, etc. So it's about caring about the whole person, not just what they can do and provide,
Mhm.
right? They're on the team because they do and provide and do those income producing activities. Now that they're on the team, we want to care about them. We want to be with them. So that's why I say one social, one knowledge based, and it needs to be something that your team really finds value in, not just because a random vendor partner called you up and offered you this class. It needs to really fit with what you feel like your team could utilize and implement in their business.
Yeah, I love that because it's very easy and doable.
Yeah,
Something knowledge based, something social. I love that in the way you're setting it up, and especially the social one. It's about belongingness, culture in the
right,
workplace, and
right.
really building that team and helping them bond and connect in some way, which is great for employee retention and
Yes.
productivity. And again, going back to belongingness, that's such an important thing for us nowadays at work and not just at home or in school, but at work as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's always been important, but post pandemic even more so. And you see this a lot with real estate. Agents can go anywhere. They get called every week. If they're producing, they get called every week to go to a different brokerage and offered some kind of package to do so. And employees can go anywhere. There are job boards every other website now. So why do people stay? It's because they like the culture. It's all about culture.
That is true. That is true. I think that's great advice for us if we're working on a team in an organization or we're entrepreneurs, you're no longer solopreneurs and we have team members, some great advice. Do you want to share any other advice for us with this coaching, leadership, team building mindset that we can take away from the interview today?
Sure. I think super important, maybe for me, having been in education, of course, and just I've always been a reader. I've always been a lifelong learner. I think that if you feel like something's missing in your business, like just be reflective and could it be that? Could it be that we need to start listening to different leadership podcasts or working with a coach or reading books? Notice I said podcast first because reading books is not everyone's cup of tea. Attending seminars and workshops, things like that. So I would definitely encourage anyone, whether they're, in a career, they're a career crusader or they're an entrepreneur to, really dig deep and ascertain, do you have like a lifelong learning mindset? Because I feel like that's one thing that can help unlock your next level up.
I think that's great advice. And I think a lot of times when we're working on our own businesses, we don't give ourselves the time to reflect. We're always on go, go,
Yes.
go. And you need to
Yes,
connect for a little bit to be able to do that reflection and then fill in those knowledge gaps with the tools that make the most sense for us.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, you career-wise have had some exciting things happening. So, you've been growing in the real estate world for a while. You have a huge team now, and you're leading. You're jumping into the coaching business, and you're
Mhm.
also starting a podcast. I would love to hear more about both what made you decide to do coaching and what are you hoping to accomplish through that new business side of things, and then talk a little bit about the podcast. But let's start about coaching.
Sure. So I recognize that there are a lot of women in real estate. Obviously, it's a women dominated industry that I think could use some business structure, some business perspective help in order to grow their team as a true income producing business. And I really feel like that's my forte is working with team leaders and boutique brokerage owners to really dive into that and make systems more aligned with their business goals, their business needs, and really deep diving on structure, their team agreement, their team financials, things like that. So that's where my coaching is coming from. And I also recognize that there's some amazing women doing some amazing things that have really cool backgrounds, different backgrounds. Like I said, a real estate career is mostly a second career or third, fourth, fifth, whatever that may be. And I think that we all bring different experiences and flavors to it because of our backgrounds. So I've started a podcast. It's called She Leads Real Estate. It's all about women leaders. It can be your own individual business. You're leading your team, you're leading your brokerage, you're in real estate management, like myself, to really shine light on those stories and those women that are driving the industry forward.
Yeah, really exciting because it's going to be very motivational. We're
Yeah.
hearing these
Yes.
stories. We're going to learn from these amazing women in real estate, and there'll be great lessons that we can apply to our own lives and our own businesses as well.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
Definitely. So it's been a great conversation. One, we've never had a conversation about real estate on the
Oh,
podcast.
really?
Oh,
Okay.
not as the industry, not as a field, not looking at the career side and the business side. And then we got to dive into leadership and teams and all these wonderful resources for us. If we're solopreneurs or we're business owners, or we're just interested in learning a little bit more about real estate to make it
Yeah.
our second, third, fourth career.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Real estate, there might be some college classes, et cetera. I know there are some at community colleges about real estate businesses. There's not really that much on, being a real estate team leader. I mean, that's very, very niche and something that you have to grow into. You don't start out as a team leader your first month in real estate ever. And so I think there's a disconnect there between leaving real estate school, having extreme success to the point that people want to join you, you have them join you because you need help in your business, to effectively running a real estate team.
Mhm.
There's a big gap there. There's a lot of success in that gap, but then setting your business, the team up in a structured way for success as a team. Something that isn't really taught,
Yeah.
isn't talked about all that much. And having worked at a few brokerages, I've seen a lot of teams, all structured differently, all run differently, which is how it should be because it's reflective of that team leader. And so I felt like, gosh, I have all these examples and knowledge of how teams run and work and can grow, that I want to help other team leaders have that same rate of success.
Yeah. I think the podcast is a great way to do that because you get to bring different topics. I don't
Yes.
know. I see a book in the future.
I
Oh,
actually am co-authoring a book.
hey,
It's called
look at that.
it's called thanks, I forgot to bring it up. It's called Women Who Lead. It will be out later this year. It is not real estate specific, but I am excited about it. So I'll keep you posted.
That sounds amazing. So, talking about that, if we want to learn more, if we want to reach it to our listeners, we're going to have all the links in the description for a lot of the things we've talked about, including the podcast and more information on Sue. But, Sue, how can we reach you if we want to learn more about your business, your coaching, or the podcast, or the upcoming book?
Sure. So I have a website, Sue Sarvis Coaching, altogether.com. I also have Instagram, same handle at Sue Sarvis Coaching, and at She Leads Real Estate for the podcast. So you can find the podcast on my website as well, but just letting you know it has its own Insta handle.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for being a
Thank
part of
you.
the show. I know we had a ton of questions and we talked
Yeah.
about so many different things, including real estate and leadership and teams. I wanted to see if there was anything else you wanted to share as we close out our interview. Any final thoughts or words of advice or something I didn't get to ask you that you want us to know? Now we know about the book. So we
And now,
definitely.
I know, I'm like, maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. No, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. I want to encourage more women to think about what they do as a business more intentionally. And that's really it. I think that real estate is a great career to pivot to. If you're thinking about a pivot, real estate is a great one.
Thank you. Thank you for that advice. And I definitely encourage everyone to check out the website, susarviscoaching.com. Also, don't forget to check out the She Leads Real Estate podcast, which what's the handle again on Instagram for the podcast?
At She Leads Real Estate.
Perfect. So definitely check out these great resources, whether you want to dabble in real estate or you just want to learn more about women, leadership, and all these wonderful things we talked about, team dynamics, team coaching, team building. There's so many wonderful topics today that are not just about real estate. We just pull from there and we can apply to many different areas of our lives. So thank you so much, Sue, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to our listeners for listening to Coffee and an Interview. We'll check you out in the next episode.